All right. So let's start with the first question. Now, usually the first questions are related to bad math rules, like how to perform the operations. You have 25 questions, and just the math part is 25 questions, and the rest is logic and general knowledge, physics, chemistry, history, geography, those topics. Now, it would be great if you fast forward some of the easy questions, like the calculation ones. For example, in this case, you can try and shortcut something. If you remember, there is like bad math rules, dependently how you pronounce them. You want to call it brackets or parentheses, doesn't matter. Exponents, brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So this is the order of operations. Now, you may solve it all in details and cover it step by step, but you need to know that you don't have much time. Because you don't have much time, you want to skip some steps, but not many. If you skip too many steps, the chances that you'll make mistakes are higher. So try not skipping too many steps, but also try not writing all steps because you won't finish the exam in time. Now, what is important on the entrance exam, we don't actually check how you solve the problem. We only check whether you got the correct answer, assuming that this is the correct one. So you just circle the correct one. Now, how at the end you can guess for, let's say there are 3-4 questions left that you couldn't answer, you didn't have enough time, you can guess at the end. So let's try the easier ones first. 16 divided by 4, now in brackets, instead of 6 minus 4, I can just write it times 4, right? Plus 4 times 3 squared, that's 9. Of course, this comes from bad math rules, exponents first. Now, I could have copied everything and just raise 3 squared here, but that will take too many steps. So now I know some of the operations can be performed simultaneously. For example, here, because there is division and multiplication, I'm forced to do division first, but here it's only multiplication, so I can perform these operations. 16 divided by 4, that's 4 times 4, plus 4 times 9, that's 36. And now 4 times 4 is 16 plus 36. That makes how much? 52. So the correct answer is D. Right. Again, another exercise related to bad math rules, it's this fraction, calculating here. So in this exercise, we can take one of the 3 approaches, the following ones. The best one is to, because again, you have time constraint, it would be good to evaluate each fraction one by one. You can do it simultaneously, but because you want just a second. All right. Now, because you want to finish it faster, let's say we want to so I want to multiply this fraction by 100 and this fraction by 100. Why? To get a natural number in the denominator. So I get 20 over 2. That's just 10. So the first fraction evaluates to 10. The second one, 0.24 over 0.08 is, well, again, I multiply by 100 and here by 100. And what do I get? Well, I get 24 over 8. That is just 3. So I got the first part is 10, the second part is 3, and now let me evaluate the last part, 0.03 over 0.1. If I multiply again by 10 here and by 10 here, you can multiply by 100 if you want, So you get 0.3 over 1, which is 0.3. So now finally, if I merge these three on this expression, what do I get? I get 10 plus 3 minus 0.3, which is 13 minus 0.3, which is 12.7. So this is our answer, 12.7. Let's move on to next question. We have a system of linear equations. Solving systems of linear equations, there are two common methods that we use. For example, let's see, x plus 2y over 3x plus 5y. Now, one common method is by substitution and the other common method is by opposite terms. We can apply directly opposite terms, but we need to bring it to opposite terms. So I believe if you multiply the first equation, not by 3 because you will still end up with the same sign, but by -3, what do you get? Well, the second equation, we didn't do anything, so we copy it. But the first one gets multiplied all terms by -3. X times -3, -3x. 2 times -3, -6y. 10 times -3, -30. And then you add side by side. When you add side by side, 3x and -3x cancels out. And what's left? -6y plus 5y is -30 plus 20. So now this is a linear equation with one unknown, which is solvable. -6 and 5, that's -1, which we can just write -y, is equal to -20. -30 plus 20, it's -10. Which after you multiply by -1 or divide by -1, however, you get that y was 10. Now, you can somehow skip some parts, like solving for x. Now I can check on the answers and look here why it's -10. Here it's 10. I'm not claiming this is directly the answer. I need to check whether there are other 10s. But here y it's 0, here y it's 20, here y is 5. So if my calculations are correct till here, B must be the correct answer. Otherwise, I should have had another solution with y being 10, which there is not. Anyways, we can test it. So we can substitute this y10 to either equation, the first one or the second one. Let's substitute on the first one. So x plus 2y, but y is 10, is equal to 10. So we get x plus 20 is 10. X is equal to 10 minus 20. X is -10. Indeed, this is the solution, x, y. X first, y second. All right. Next question. Write the equation of the line which passes through the point -1, 2 with slope 3. All right. First, we have, this is the equation of the line, right? This is the equation of the line through a known point and a given slope. So if this is the slope and this is the known point, this would be the equation of the line. Now, you may also test some of the points, which will be kind of guessing and checking. For example, I would do once guessing and checking just to show how it works. But in this case, we're going to just solve it with a formula. All right. Guessing and checking, it's, well, this point A has coordinates -1 and 2, which means x is -1 and y is 2. So let me guess on option A. 3 times -1 plus, minus y, which is 2, plus 5 should be 0. So now this is -3 minus 2 plus 5 is 0, which is -5 plus 5 is 0. Indeed, this is 0. Now, does that mean the A is the answer? Not yet. I don't know whether the slope is actually 3, right? I don't know whether the slope is actually 3. How do I figure out the slope here? Well, I must write the equation in the form y equals a number times x plus another number. This would give me the slope. M is the slope. So if I write the equation in this form, N is the slope again. So by rearranging this expression, I get y is equal to 3x plus 5. Indeed, the slope is 3, all right? Slope is 3. Now, I guessed that A would be the answer, but it popped out to actually be the answer. So now you may be wondering, well, what if I guessed the wrong one? What if you guess the wrong one? You either keep guessing or you use the formula. So let's show how you will solve the problem by using the formula. Now, if I substitute on this formula, y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1, what do I get? Well, y minus, what is y coordinate of the known point? So the point that the line is passing through. Well, I just labeled it here. X is -1, y it's 2. So this is 2 is equal. What's the slope of the line? Well, it's given 3. X minus, what is x coordinate of the known point? -1. Right, so this is y minus 2 is equal 3x plus 1. Get rid of brackets. 3x plus 3, right? And now you can just take everything from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, or from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, dependently on you. Let's take everything on the right. So you get 0 is equal to 3x plus 3 minus y plus 2, which means 3x minus y plus 5 is 0. Indeed, this popped out to be the first one. If it didn't, we had to check which one corresponds to this term. So there are 2 ways of solving. Actually, there are even 2, 3 more ways, but these ones are enough. Guessing and checking sometimes is short, sometimes it's a bit longer. Next. In a class 5A, there are 18 girls and 12 boys. What is the ratio of girls to boys? All right, how many girls are there? 18. How many boys are there? 12. Now, always we can simplify the ratio. We can divide here by, if you can't find directly the greatest number that you can divide by, you can start by 2, for example. If you don't want to perform the calculations, well, divide by 2. That means now you have the ratio 9 to 6, and then you can divide by 3, and you get the ratio is 3 to 2. And these are coprime numbers. You cannot simplify furthermore. The 6th question, we have a bag with 9 red balls and 2 blue balls and 3 green balls. What is the probability of randomly selecting non-blue balls from the bag? Right? How many of these balls from the bag are not blue? Well, non-blue are the 9 red ones and the 3 green ones. So 9 plus 3 is 12 are non-blue, right? So now 12 over what is the total? What's the total? Well, if you add everything, it would be 12 over 14. We can see there is no 12 over 14, but we can simplify by 2 a bit. So we get how much? 6 over 7. And that is 6 over 7. Here it is. Right? The seventh question, a student spent 1/12 of her weekly money on a student spent 1/12 of her weekly money on Monday, 1/4 on Tuesday, 1/3 on Wednesday. He wants to spend an equal amount in the remaining days. What fraction of his money can he spend on Saturday? All right. So if the student spent 1/12 of his money on Monday, plus let's calculate how much did he spend or she. All right, 1/12 plus 1/4 plus 1/3. Normally we would have write here 1/12 of x, 1/4 of x, but in this case it really doesn't matter. The least common multiple is 12, so I multiply the second fraction by 3, both numerator and denominator, the third fraction by 4, and what do I have? I have 1 over 12 plus 3 over 12 plus 4 over 12, which means this adds up into 8 over 12. I can simplify a bit by 4, and I get 2 over 3 of the weekly money was spent on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, what's left? Left from the whole, which is 1, minus we subtract the spent money. So that is 3 over 3 minus 2 over 3, which is 1 over 3. So 1/3 of the weekly money is left. Well, now the left amount should be divided equally between the remaining days of the week. Now 3 days are passed, we need to divide by 4. So 1 over 3, all this divided by 4. You can do it like this, or maybe you can do it like dividing by 4. That's 1/3 times 1 over 4, because the way we divide is like we flip the second fraction. In this case, it's a natural number and it has a denominator 1. So when you flip it, it becomes 1 over 4. So it's 1 over 12. In each of the following days, we have 1 over 12 of the amount left. All right. A seller in the bazaar sells a goat, a lamb, and a calf. The weight of the goat, all right, let's use G for goat, L for lamb, and C for calf. Now, the weight of the goat, so G plus the lamb is 57. The weight of the goat and the calf is 111. And while the weight of the lamb and the calf is 118. Now, these kind of problems, of course, it's a system of linear equations. We can solve it again in different ways, but if we add up side by side, what do I get? G plus L plus L plus C plus C. I can write 2G plus 2L plus 2C on the left side. You can clearly see we have 2G's, 2L's, and 2C's. And on the right-hand side, I need to add up these numbers. So I get 100, 200, 70, 80, 286. All right. Then I can clearly see this on the left-hand side. I can factor it too. So I get goat plus lamb plus calf is 286. Divide both sides by 2. Divide both sides by 2. I get 143. So if I weighed all three of them, the goat, the lamb, and the coffee, I should get 143. Now, let's read the question once more. How much does the calf weigh? So if I want to find out how much does the calf weigh, I can just subtract this part. Now the goat plus the lamb together is how much? It's 57, is it? 57 plus the calf should be 143. So the calf is 143 minus 57, which means 13 minus 7. If you can do it horizontally, do it vertically, no problem. 13 minus 7, 6. 12 minus 5, 7. 70. 13. Just a second. 13 minus 7, 6. 13 minus 5, 8. So the calf weighs 86 kilograms. Here we have a linear inequality, which is very, very similar to linear equations. We have 2x minus 3 over 4 is greater than x minus 3x minus 5 over 5. We can just multiply both sides by 20, just because we know that the common denominator here is 20. So what do we get? We get 2x. We get 2x minus 3 over 4. All this times 20 is greater than x times 20, which is 3x minus 5 over 5. All this times 20. Now we can simplify a bit. So if you simplify 4 and 20, on the denominator, only 1 is left. So 5 over 1, and similar here, 4 over 1. The rest is just kind of getting rid of brackets. So 2x minus 3 is greater than 20x minus 4 times 3x minus 5. Next step would be get rid of these brackets. 10x minus 15 is greater than 20x minus 12x plus 20. Don't forget why it's positive, because negative 4 times negative 5 makes positive 20. Now the rest is similar. We just need to separate knowns on one side and unknowns on the other. So we have 10x minus 20x plus 12x is greater than 20 plus 15. If we add up here 10 and 12, it's 22 minus 20, that's just 2. So 2x is greater than 35, which means x is greater than 35 over 2. Yeah, it's under D. Now also you can use a bit of guessing method. For example, I would have immediately cancel out the option which is under E. Why? Because of the sign. I'm having here greater than, so my options will only be greater than or less than in linear inequations, so linear inequalities, of course. But this option where this equal sign just introduced, you can guess that, well, it's not the solution. We can also kind of guess some answers, but it would be difficult to conclude directly. Like I can get a number that is on this range, less than 35 over 2, but it will take more time than just solving the problem. Calculations with operations with fractions. This is a mixed number. So whenever you're dealing with mixed numbers, you have two options. Either convert them into improper fractions, which in this case, that's what we're going to do. So 2 whole and 1/2 is actually 2 times 2, 4, and 1, 5/2, plus this improper fraction is 5 times 3, 15, and 1, 16/3, divided by 8/3, which makes 5/2 plus 16/3 times the second fraction flips 3/8. Here we can cancel this, and this cancels out. This and this cancels out. Here it's 2, here it's 1. Right? Of course, these ones are also 1. Now, what's left is 5/2 plus 2/1. Now I have to bring them to a common denominator, which I can multiply by 2, both of them, numerator and denominator. So finally we get 4/2, which is 9/2. Option A. The 11th one says simplify the expression. So we have to simplify this expression as much as possible. In general, in some exercises, simplifying, you have to decide at some point where to stop. But these type of exercises, you can simplify like to the end, like nothing will be left, just a number. But sometimes you have expressions in terms of letters, and it depends whether you want positive or negative exponents. All right, 100 times, now this number is actually 1000, which we can write it as 10 cubed. All this 10 cubed should be to the power 4. And here I have 100 cubed. 100 itself is 10 to the power 2. But all that should be cubed times 10 squared, again all cubed. Let's continue. This would be 100 times, well, in the denominator, 10 cubed to the power 4 is 10 to the power 12. And here you have 10 to the power 6 times 10 to the power 6, which makes 100 times 10 to the power 12. And how do you multiply numbers with same base? So you just add the exponents. That means it's 10 to the power 12. Now we can obviously see that this and this cancels out. So what's left? Just 100. This type of exercises is rearranging the expression, or maybe changing the subject of the expression. We kind of don't know which term to make the new subject, because we are having C as subject, B as subject, and A as subject. Let's try to make C the subject of this formula. So I have X is equal to a fraction minus B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. So I get 2AX is equal to negative B plus minus B squared minus 4AC. Get this B on the other side, even though mathematically we just say add B to both sides. 2AX plus B is positive or negative the root of B squared minus 4AC. Then I square both sides, so I get 2AX plus B all squared is equal. When I square the right side, the root and the square will cancel, so I get B squared minus for a C. That means it's 2ax plus b all squared minus b squared is negative for a C. Now I just want to find what's A, or what's C actually. So it's 2ax plus b all squared minus b squared. All this needs to be divided by negative 4a, and that would be the expression for C. If I compare, I don't have this expression nowhere, but if I get this negative sign and I perform something like this for C, for A actually, and I get b squared minus 2ax plus b all squared. And this actually corresponds to A. Now, if somebody is wondering what happened here, well, actually the numerator can be written negative b squared minus 2ax plus b squared like this. So it can be written in one of these forms, so both of these are the same. And when you write it on the second form, it cancels with a negative on the denominator. If I didn't find an expression that was on the options A and C and E, then I would have gone for the options A and B here. Like rearranging this the expression in terms of B and in terms of A. Now, some geometry, there are some important facts in geometry. If you have two parallel lines, they form transversal angles. So these red angles are all equal in terms of measurement. And these blue angles are all equal in transversals. So if you want just to solve it faster, well, you get this angle is 180 minus 108. So 180 degrees minus 108, that's 72 degrees. So this angle is 72 degrees. That also corresponds to the angle y. So angle y is 72 degrees. Look, these two are having same measure. Now that I know that one of the angles is 63, the other 72, I can find the missing angle. There are two ways from the triangle here, or maybe from the exterior angle. 63 plus x should be 108. That is actually the shortest way of solving the problem. 63 degrees plus x should be 108 degrees, which means x is 108 degrees minus 63, which means it's 45 degrees. Now the question says, what is y minus x? So y minus x makes 72 degrees minus 45 degrees. That is 27. So it's 27 degrees. Find the area of the isosceles triangle. The area of the isosceles triangle is 60 centimeters square. AB is equal to AC and BC is 10, then find AC. Right, we have a similar triangle like here, but we can also construct it. Of course, on exam, you're not going to have it. So AB is equal to AC, so these sides are equal. And it says BC is 10 centimeters. Now, because it's an isosceles triangle, the height, of course, the height is perpendicular, but we have two congruent triangles on left and right here. In any case, we have this height, so BC times the height over 2 should give you the area. This is the formula. BC times the height over 2 will give you the area of the triangle. So 60 is equal BC, that's 10 times height over 2, which means 60 is 5 times height. Height is 60 over 5, that's 12. So the height of this triangle is 12. Now we found that's 12. Knowing that this part here corresponds to half of the side, that means this must be 5. Now we can continue the second part of the exercise, having a triangle where one of the sides is 12. Actually, this is not any triangle, it's a right angle triangle. So 12, 5, and the side that we are looking for, AC. Now this is the right triangle, so it will be an just Pythagorean theorem. X squared is 12 squared plus 5 squared. The Pythagorean theorem states the sum of the squares of the sides of a right triangle equals to the square of the hypotenuse. And that's what we just did. X squared is 169, which means x is the square root of 169. Because it's a side, we can only take the positive case. So x is 32. So for us, that is the side we are looking for. All right. Find the perimeter of the shape. Now, finding the perimeter of the shape, well, obviously this side is 4 and this side is 4, just like being radius. So the whole perimeter will actually be totally dependent on the perimeter of the circle, or as we call it, circumference. What is the formula for the circumference? The circumference of the circle is 2 pi r. 2 pi times radius. In our case, pi is taken to be 3. Now we know it's 3.14, but just for sake of calculations, let's take 3. So 2 times pi is 3 times radius is 4. That's 2 times 3, 6 times 4, 24. But 24 is the radius of the circumference of the whole circle. We can clearly see that 1/4 of the circle is missing. So we want the circumference, actually 3/4 of the circumference, right? Now that is 3/4 of circumference is 24. We can simplify by 4. We get 6 here. 6 times 3, that's 18. 18 centimeters. Now if you go and circle 18, that's wrong. Why? Because only this blue part has circumference 18, this part. What is the total perimeter? Perimeter is this 3/4 of the circumference, 18 centimeters, plus 2 times the radius, 2 times 4, which means it's 18, of course, centimeters here, plus 8 centimeters, that's 26 centimeters. Oh, 16th exercise, we will be using one of the properties that we we can see here on the right side. So it's as if we have the same base and the exponents are n and m, then the exponents must be equal. Great. So the number 243, it's actually 243 is actually 3 to the power 5. How can we guess it? Well, you can try 3 times 3, it's 9 times 3, it's 27 times 3, it's 81 times 3 is 243. So the left-hand side is 3 to the power 2x plus 3, and the right-hand side is 3 to the power 5. That means this and this, these two expressions should be equal between them. So 2x plus 3 is 5. 2x is 2, x is 1. So x is just 1. Next. What is the general term of the following sequence? Now, a sequence, let's say, has the general term an. Now, if the sequence is a linearly increasing sequence, which means the difference is always the same, how do we find the difference? The following term. So 5 plus or minus something to get 1. Obviously, it's -4. Then the same, let me copy it here. So 5, 1, -3, -7. To get from the first term to the second term, I need to subtract 4. To get from the second term to the third, I need to subtract 4. To get from the third to the fourth, I need to subtract 4. So obviously, we are constantly subtracting 4. That means the general term would be this term in the beginning, -4, times n, the position. And this would be our general term, but we need to maybe add or subtract a constant number, like 2, 3, 4, something. But what will that be? Now, obviously, we're not going to just guess. Well, let's try for the first term. The first term says if n is 1, so a1, I should get 5. So -4 times 1, it's -4, but I should get 5 as the 4. All right, so how much should I add to get 5? I should add 9 because it's -4 plus 9. Well, that means no, on the general term, I should have added 9 at the beginning. Finally, this is our expression. There are also other methods, but those are a bit longer. So this one is the shortest one. Again, the difference that you're having here from first to second term, you multiply that by the position, and then you just need to figure out the free term, the last one, which would be a constant, like maybe +5, -5, +0, which you don't write, plus 1/2, plus 2.5, doesn't matter. All right, so this is clearly under E. So you just rearrange the expression and you get 9 minus 4n. Next, Sarah works on a job that can be completed in 8 hours and is paid $56 when she completes the job alone. Right, if she completes the job in 8 hours, $56 divided by 8, that means $7 per hour, right? So pay rate is $7 per hour. All right. She starts working on the job alone for 3 hours. And Kate joins her to complete the rest of the job together. Assuming that Sarah and Kate have the same working speed, how much would Kate be paid? All right, if she worked for 3 hours, then 3 times 7, $21. She should get paid, Sarah should get paid just for working on her own, right? Now, From the total, 56 minus $21, $56 minus $21, we get $35. Now, this is the amount that was worked after Kate joined. So now this is the amount of money that they should both get. I mean, they should share by both. Now, if it's shared by both, that means because they are working at the same rate, it should be divided by 2, which makes it 17.5. C. If a bike is now priced at $255 after a 50% reduction, what was its original price? If a bike is now priced, so we don't know the original price, but from the original price, 15% was reduced, and now we end up to 55. All right, so we can assume that the initial price was X, and because this was reduced by 15%, we can multiply it by 1 minus 15%. Now, why 1 minus 15%? 1 is the total price. So you can write it in otherwise like X minus 15 over 100X. However, this would be 255. So taking X in front of brackets, 1 minus 15% is actually 0.15. Or however, that would be 15 over 100, which is 255. So X times 85 over 100 is 255, which means X is actually 255 times 100 over 85. We can simplify by 5. The rest is just trying to calculate the problem. If we simplify by 5, what do we get? This is 51. And 17. All right. So X is, we can again simplify by 17. So this and this, it's 3, so 300. Yes. So the initial amount was subtracted by 300. Now, let's say you can't calculate it this way. Let's say I can just calculate it this way. I don't recall how to do the problem. In each of these amounts, try reducing 15%. Obviously, these options are not possible. Well, just try like 200, 15% of 200 is like 30. So 270 minus 30, yeah, it's not going to be 255. So it's either D or E. Now, even if you didn't perform the calculations, you could have guessed it's between D and E. So it's now like 50-50. If you perform the calculations on D, so $300 times 15%, well, this is $45. And now if I subtract 300 minus 45, that is actually 225. If it wasn't, I would have gone for E. So sometimes no need even to perform all these calculations. You can just shortcut it and directly get to the answer. A probability table has been provided for the thrown of a biased die. Biased die means a die that doesn't show the numbers all with the same probability. So according to the table, how many times it is expected to show 3 on the die when it is thrown 250 times? So the way we find how many times is expected to show number 3 in this case, would be probability that it shows, let's say 3, let's call it P3, times how many times we throw the die. So trials. So probability of the number 3 is 0.2 times how many trials we perform, 250, and that is 50. If you want, we can do something like this, 2 over 10 times 250, cancel, cancel. We cancel this 10 and this one, so finally we get 2 times 50, 25, that is 50. So we expect to have 50 times the number 3 shown. What is the capacity of the tank in liter? Right, what's the capacity in liters? 15 centimeters, 35 centimeters, 16 centimeters. Remember this conversion. 1,000 centimeters cubed is 1 liter, or otherwise 1 decimeter cube is 1 liter. So one of these two cases. Anyways, we just need to multiply. The volume is 15, of course, that is centimeters, times 35, that is also centimeters, times 16 centimeters. Well, we can multiply one by one using table, but I really want to write it something like this: 30 centimeters times 70 centimeters times 4 centimeters. Why like this? I'm trying to shortcut calculations because, of course, you know that you don't have much time. So in order to, why multiply 15 times 35 when I can multiply by 2 and make 30 and by 2 make 70? I got those 2's from 16 because 16 is actually 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So there are 4 2's inside. Otherwise, you could have multiplied it the old long way. Now, 3 times 7, that's 21, and 2 zeros, times 4, and centimeter times centimeter times centimeter, that is centimeters cube. Now, 21 times 4, that's 8400 centimeters cube. The question is actually in liters, and we have the conversion. 1,000 centimeters cubed is 1 liter. So divide by 1,000, and what do we get? We get 8.4 liters. So it's B. Now, 23rd one, given the frequency table that displays the heights of the students in a class, find the interval that contains the median height. What was the median height? If you have some data points, let's say some students are 121, 125, 132, 153, 43, and 151. And the median height is the middle value, right? So that is the middle value. That is when you have the data points all given, right? But in this case, we have classes. So how many students are there? What is the total frequency? Total students. Well, it's 6 plus 8 plus 10 plus 2 plus 1. That's 27. And now the middle student will be the one that has 13 on the left, 1, the student himself, and 13 on the right. So we want to know where is the 14th student, on which class, interval class. So the 14th student lies. We should arrange them in according to height. So 6 and 8, well, the 14th is actually the last student in this, model class. So what is the answer? 130 to 114. That's it. we have an expression like this, where it says that A and B are parallel. AB is 12 millimeters, BC is 6 millimeters. Actually, BC is 10 millimeters, DC is 6. The angle here is 90 degrees. We are looking for the area. How do we find the area of a trapezoid? So the area is a base 1, let's call it A, plus base 2, let's call it B, over 2 times height. Now we know base 1, that is 12, of course, millimeters, plus the other base is 6, this one also millimeters, over 2, but now times height. Look, this is not the height, it's not perpendicular. We need to find the height. So in order to find the height, I can drop the height here. Now, can I figure out the length here? Well, because the whole length AB is 12 and A to the height is 6, that means this is 6 millimeters. So cropping the image and showing it here, you get 6, 10, and height. Now, what's the height? It's a right angle triangle, Pythagorean theorem. So 10 squared, the hypotenuse squared, is height squared plus 6 squared. 100 is height squared plus 36. Height squared is 64. Height is 8. So we found that height is actually 8, of course, millimeters. That means 12 and 6, 18 millimeters over 2 times 8 millimeters. This simplifies to 9. So we finally get 9 times 8, 72 millimeters squared. And we have one more question, which is solve the equation. Of course, I need to get rid of brackets first here. So x times x, that is x squared. X times 1, it's x. 4 times x, 4x. 4 times 1, 4. I'm done with left-hand side. What about right-hand side? X times x, x squared. X times 3, 3x. Negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times 3, that's negative 6. I believe I can just cancel out these x squares because opposite signs, same signs. So I get x and 4x, that's 5x plus 4 is equal to x minus 6. Again, 5x minus x is negative 6 minus 4. 4x is negative 10. X is negative 10 over 4. X is minus 2.5. So it should be C. Now, the following lesson, as I mentioned, we will start from 5 p.m., so from 17. And the same lesson will be held on Saturday, starting from 11, which means we will solve again 2023. If somebody wants to see again how I solve some of the questions, you can join, or the students that couldn't join will have a second chance. All right, we are done for today. Have a nice day.